I like when you press that one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk Media Network on a very busy Thursday night for you from our studios in downtown Columbia. Good to have you with us. Kind of a stormy day across the state of South Carolina. I think we're going to be dodging storms here over the weekend with this baseball regional in Columbia. Hopefully, it will not interfere. Those storms won't interfere with the baseball games, and we can get them played pretty much on schedule. But, that never happens this time of year. June storms, regionals tend to be interrupted sometimes for hours or days because of the weather. So we'll see. We cross our fingers and hope for the best, but things get underway tomorrow in Columbia at Founders Park, South Carolina and Virginia. We heard from both head coaches today. Mark Kingston talking about the Gamecocks. They are about as healthy as they can be, ready to go. They're excited about hosting this regional and the opportunity to face one of the best pitchers in the country, somebody that Kingston knows from his days with USA Baseball. So runs will probably be at a premium because the Gamecocks are throwing arguably their best pitcher, Brett Carey. So runs will likely be at a premium, and the opportunity to score runs early and get on the board, that'll be crucial both ways. A run or two might be all you're going to get. And when you get that opportunity, you get a runner in scoring position, less than 2 outs, you've got to be creative against these pitchers and get that runner advanced and get that runner home because those opportunities might be rare. So we're going to hear from those coaches tonight. Also, Mike Morgan on the move, his visit with us tonight. He'll have more on the regionals both here and around the country, his thought on how things are going to shake down for college baseball going into the NCAA tournament. Mike Krzyzewski had his retirement press conference today. He'll have another one at the end of the basketball season, I'm sure. But this was the press conference to announce that this coming season will be his last as a college basketball coach. We'll bring you a little bit of that if you didn't get a chance to hear it. I know that doesn't impact us right here in South Carolina, but it does impact us regionally. And it is the biggest story of the last couple of days, the fact that Mike Krzyzewski has decided to hang things up. So we got just a loaded show for you. And we will perhaps have time for some phone calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. So, Chris, before you go on vacation, lucky dog, like a NASCAR driver, you're the lucky dog. You go to the back end of the lead lap, but you're back on the lead lap. You're getting ready to go on vacation. Jimmy Smith's taking great care of you. You're heading down to Paulie's as of tomorrow. What do you think about this regional now after listening to what the coaches had to say today?
Well, it was fascinating listening to both Mark Kingston and Brian O'Connor. We don't normally get a chance to listen to guys out of the ACC outside of the Clemson crew. And it was kind of nice to get a different perspective on things and the pitching matchup. Excuse me, that we are going to get to see tomorrow afternoon at noon between Brett Carey and Andrew Abbott. Mark Kingston said it may be one of the best pitching matchups of the weekend. I don't know that I can argue that point. You're talking about two guys who are combined 13-6 this season, each with an ERA below 3, over 200 strikeouts combined between the two. And I just hope that the weather, as you were touching on to open up the program, Phil, I hope it doesn't interfere with this because I think we would be cheated out of what may be a 1 or 2 run ball game tomorrow. And you talk about sacrifices and bunting and the whole 9 yards. That has been a bugaboo for college baseball teams for years. And if you do get runners at first and second with nobody out in the bottom of the first inning, and you've got Wes Clark maybe at the plate if you're South Carolina, or Andrew Eister, or someone that can bash the baseball, do you ask them to lay down a sacrifice to try and get that early run? I think Mark Kingston told you when you asked him that question that you have to play the game as it goes and let the game come to you. But in a situation like that, I'm almost inclined to go against the grain and let those big boppers swing away because, yeah, it may be a 2-1 ball game, but then on the flip side, you may end up in a situation where you committed out that you shouldn't put yourself in that position and may not need to. So I've gone full circle on the sacrifice hits in college baseball because I've seen it flounder so many times. I'm more inclined to let those guys do what they do best, and that's swing away, even in a situation like that early in the ball game.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch the strategy and everything that's done to try to create a run here, a run there. I don't think, of course, now, if you can get into the bullpen one way or the other, that might change everything. But if these starters go deep into the ball game and they're on their games, I think you can look at something along the lines of a 2-1, 3-2, 1-0 type of game even. So whoever's able to create some runs and create some runs early will be the ones that are in the driver's seat in this one. Meantime, you got Presbyterian preparing to play Vanderbilt tomorrow night in Nashville in the opening round of that regional. Looks like, from what I'm reading at Vandy, looks like Kumar Rocker is going to start that game for Vanderbilt. And what difference does it make to them?
Exactly.
Whether it's Rocker or Lighter or Rocker, you're going to see 1A, 1B if you're Presbyterian.
Yeah, I think they're just sticking with their typical weekend rotation. And how could you argue with Tim Corbin doing that? Because you're right, they've got 2 Friday night starters. Only one of them can actually start on Friday night, and so they'll go with Kumar Rocker. But how can you argue either way? If they ran out Jack Leiter, who tossed a no-hitter against South Carolina earlier this season, I can't imagine anybody would criticize that. But you stick with your game plan. And they have the luxury of doing that because normally a 1 seed going up against what, let's be honest, is an overmatched 4 seed in Presbyterian. Normally you would try and hold back your best pitcher because you want to make sure if the 2 seed gets through, you've got your ace to go against them. Well, Vanderbilt doesn't have to worry about that. They're in such a different position than a lot of baseball programs are where they have 2 guys. So if they went with Jack Leiter tomorrow, big deal. They've got Kumar Rocker to go on Saturday. So that is a luxury that a lot of programs would like to have, but very few actually do.
All right. Recruiting-wise and in camp news today, of course, South Carolina and Clemson holding camps today. South Carolina beginning their camps today and Clemson ending their first camp session today. And I think the biggest news to come out from South Carolina was an offer to Davin Jackson, defensive end from Sumter, who went in today and performed in camp and apparently did a really good job in front of the Gamecock coaches, and they offered him 6'2", 260 is his size as a defensive end. And, you know, he knows that his height has somewhat been a concern for some recruiters, some coaches. They like their defensive ends to be taller than 6'2", but he has other skills. And at that size, I mean, he's probably not going to get any taller. You could slim him down a little bit. You could beef him up a little bit. But I think South Carolina moves into really good position with him, though he wasn't ready to make a decision, obviously, today with his mom in tow at the camp, and then got a chance to visit with the coaches, Shane Beamer. And obviously the offer to him from South Carolina is a huge one, very big one, but he does have some other visits that he wants to take, and so he wasn't ready to end things today. But I'd say South Carolina is in a good spot with him at this point. We'll have more in recruiting coming up for you a little bit later on here on the program. We'll update some other news notes as well. Plus, there was a bevy of major league games this afternoon, including the Braves beating the Nationals 5-1. So the Braves pick up a nice win today at home in the afternoon over the Nationals, 5-1. That final score. It was 5-7-1 for the Braves, 1-4-1 for the Nats, who did not score until the 9th. And Dansby Swanson had a good day offensively for the Braves, kind of leading the offense in today's win. So the Braves have just sort of been hanging around 500, dropping a little bit below here and there, Chris. But it looks like, despite some of their issues on and off the field, it's starting to come together for them a little bit better. They're starting to string some wins together.
Well, and that's the beauty of Major League Baseball. That's why old-time and long, tradition-rich fans say you need to play the 162-game schedule because over that length of time, the cream always seems to rise to the top, and the Braves have done that more times than we can count, and they're right now sitting 4 games back of the Mets, a couple of games below 500 after today. But we're into not even the middle portion of June. We haven't even gotten to the All-Star break. So I don't think, even with the issues that the Braves are having, especially on the pitching side of the coin, I don't think it's anywhere close to push that panic button time for Atlanta, because there's such a lot more baseball left to be played long before we get into a situation where the Braves being 4 games out with 2 weeks left to go would be a worrisome spot. Certainly not right now.
Just worth adding, with that 5-1 Braves win today, both Dansby Swanson and Ozzie Albies each recorded their 500th career hit, Swanson doing so with that home run.
Man, they're awfully young to get to 500 hits. I remember when Swanson was playing shortstop at Vanderbilt. And, they're awfully young to get there. So they're on the fast track. This win today against the Nationals, I think it was their first win in this series, right? Didn't the Nats win the first 2 games? So aside from that, after losing the first 2 games, the Braves offense had to face Patrick Corbin today, and they got it done. So, they're stringing some wins together here and there, but not as much as you'd like to see if you're a Braves fan.
Find out how good they are this weekend, though, Phil. Excuse me.
Yeah.
They've got the Dodgers this weekend, so we'll find out where they stand when they take on L.A. at home. This is actually, for a June series, actually a pretty big sort of litmus test for the Braves, sitting a couple of games below 500, and the Dodgers already 10 games above at 33 and 23.
Yep.
And that was also a 4-game series. They ended up a split. The Braves won the first game, and the last game, the Nationals won the 2 in the middle.
Gotcha. Also today, Rockies over the Rangers 11-6. Red Sox beat the Astros 5-1. Rays beat the Yankees 9-2. And that is it for the afternoon baseball today. So we're going to dive into preparation for the regional tomorrow. Gamecocks, of course, early start, noon start at Founders Park. So we'll come back and hear from Mark Kingston, get the Gamecocks head coach's thoughts on the opponent, Virginia. He's very impressed with what they can do on the mound, and they've got some decent hitters here and there, and they play some pretty good defense. We'll get his thoughts coming up.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit PlayResponsiblySC.com.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit MainCourseSC.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia. No air balls, no bricks, nothing but net with Founders Federal Credit Union. Our full-service line of financial products gives you all the tools you need for financial success, and you'll love being with us as much as we love serving you. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com or one of our more than 30 locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax with Founders. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Enjoy life to the fullest with tasty peanuts that pack a lot of flavor. When it comes to eating peanuts, the research is clear. Peanuts improve your health. Peanuts, a snack that gives back. Crack some open today for a nutritious, sustainable, and earth-friendly treat. Be sure to stop by your local grocery store produce section to pick up a bag of roasted in-shell peanuts. Brought to you by the South Carolina Peanut Board. Visit aboutpeanuts.com for delicious peanut-based recipes.
Hey, folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history. And with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
Phone number here on Sports Talk, 888-898-2525. Get a chance to take some phone calls later on. Make sure you use that number, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number to Sports Talk. Did you know that since 2002, more than $829 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund lottery tuition assistance for students attending technical colleges in South Carolina? You can learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducation.lottery.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education. All right. Want to hear from Mark Kingston, USC baseball coach, here on the eve of the regional. He's got the Gamecocks in a regional for the second time in his tenure at South Carolina. Here he is talking with the media this afternoon and setting the stage for that meeting with Virginia tomorrow at noon.
Three good teams in here visiting Columbia, and should be four teams really getting after it all weekend. A lot of respect for the teams that are here. We know their histories. We know the types of seasons they've had this year to get here. So we're ready. I think we're well rested. We're as healthy as we've been in a long time. So now it's just a matter of going out and playing good baseball and see what happens.
Howdy, Mark. Thanks for doing this. So you just mentioned the team's health. How are Wimmer, Khalil, and Malone in terms of playing tomorrow?
Yeah, I anticipate they'll all be able to play. We had good workouts here for the last week, and they all seem to have passed all the tests that we needed to give them. So I would anticipate we'll be able to see all of them tomorrow.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to talk a little bit about Brett Carey. Just his approach to the game, it seems like any other pitcher, I don't know, could handle what he has to handle, from being the back-end bullpen guy to now getting the ball to start a game. Just what makes him so special between the ears to handle all the different responsibilities you have placed on him on the mound?
You know, he's just a gamer. He loves getting the ball. He's very competitive. He knows he has good stuff. He knows how to use it. And he's been so successful so many times that I just think he takes an air of confidence out there to the mound, regardless of the role we've put him in. We've had him start. We've had him close. We've had him be a stopper in the middle of the game. We've used him in every role, and he's always helped us win games. And so at the end of the day, he has the talent. He has the mental fortitude to handle any situation you give him. And he is an intense competitor. He's everything you want in a guy that you give the ball to.
Mark, how do you kind of approach managing this pitching staff this week? Obviously, Brett goes tomorrow, but how do you plan on managing that? And does who you start really dictate based off results and opponents and matchups and things like that?
Yeah, we're going to have to look at everything, Colin. Obviously, the matchups, who are you playing? Are they left-handed, right-handed, and which of our pitchers match up best against that? Who's feeling the best? Who's trended the best, in the last couple of weeks in their last few starts? We'll factor all those things in to determine who the next pitcher is, whether it's out of the bullpen or whether it's the next game that we start. Everything will be considered. We're going to leave no stone unturned to make sure we give ourselves our best chance to have success and put guys out there where we feel like, okay, that this is a really good role for them.
Now that Abbott's obviously the official starter for Virginia, what have you seen out of him? And what can he really do on the mound that can throw you guys off maybe a little bit?
Yeah, he's electric. We had him on the Team USA team 2 years ago, and he threw some really big innings, especially against Japan for us. So he's the real deal. Big time pro prospect. He'll pitch in the big leagues. So it's going to be a great matchup. Him and Brett Carey going at it are going to be a tremendous matchup, maybe one of the best matchups in the country for the first game of a regional. So really good fastball, commands the zone, likes to pitch up in the zone, and we'll pitch backwards if necessary too. But Just a really elite competitor. And again, everything you say about Brett, you can probably say about Abbott as well.
Virginia seemed to be playing their best baseball at the end of the season. Did you notice anything different about what they were doing and how they were able to win more games and play so well towards the end?
You know, at the end of the day, it's just they started pitching better. I mean, they just started playing better baseball. You know, all teams throughout the country at some point went through good spots and rough spots and everything in between. At the end, they were playing better baseball. They were executing better. They were scoring more runs, and you know, they started pitching better. So they started to put it all together, like a lot of teams have. You know, at this point in the season, that's why at this point it's about being a good team, but it's also about being a hot team. And they obviously started to catch fire there at the end.
Coach, you talked about, you know, during the SEC tournament that you wanted to get your guys healthy. You said you've done that. You also talked about fixing some things and working on what you guys can work on rather than starting and working on Virginia early on this week. How confident are you that you guys have worked out the things that you needed to work out and confident that you guys can get off to a fast start in these games here in the tournament, which is pretty much important in these games?
Yeah. I mean, we worked on things that needed to be worked on, both as a team, but also with individuals. And so guys watched video, guys worked on the drills that they think lock them in the best because everybody's different. So individually, we worked on the things that we think can help the hitters. And obviously, you still have to go out there and do it against great pitching in a regional. But we've done the legwork necessary to give guys a chance to have success. So from that standpoint, individual standpoint, I feel like the guys are in a good spot. As a team, we just harped on the fundamentals, getting bunts down, moving runners, quality at bats in RBI situations, defensive situations. We just worked on all of it. And again, we took a little bit of a chance to get away from it and recharge the batteries mentally and physically. And then we got to work on the things that we think can help us win games.
Mark, what was it that made you put Brett out there for the first game? Was it strictly the matchup or was it just something else?
Well, he's been our best pitcher here down the stretch. I don't think that's any breaking news. He's been really good. Won the game against Tennessee, shut out Kentucky. He's been our best guy down the stretch. And in a game against Virginia where you're facing one of the best pitchers in the country, that's how you need to match up. So pretty easy decision for us. And then we feel really good if we can get through that game with you know, who we'll have behind him for the next few games as well.
Yeah. Hey, Mark. Considering the pitching you're going to face tomorrow and you're going to throw out there tomorrow, runs may be hard to come by both ways. Do you manage a little differently, especially early in the game, to try to create maybe that one run that's just going to be the one run that's going to hold up throughout a ball game like that?
You know, we'll have to see how the game's developing. You have to let the game talk to you when you're managing a game. You have to let the game talk to you. You have to see what the control of the opposing pitcher is. You need to see what, you know, how your pitcher is faring. There's a lot of things that will go into it. And based on how the game is going, yeah, maybe you bunt earlier in a game, or maybe you try a hit and run. Maybe you slash instead of bunt. I mean, there's a lot of things. You just let the game talk to you, and then you decide where to go from there. It can affect you on defense as well, because maybe you bring the infield in the fourth inning instead of the sixth or seventh. Just have to see how the game's going, but I would anticipate it's probably going to be a low-scoring game because of who's on the mound, and so we'll have decisions to make, both, you know, guys coming out of the bullpen, where to play your defense, when is too early to bunt, when is not too early to bunt. All those things will factor into it. But again, you can't go into it too many preconceived notions, because sometimes the game doesn't go how you think it's going to go. Sometimes on pitching days you score a lot of runs, and vice versa. So we'll see how the game's going, and then we'll kind of make decisions based on what we're seeing.
With Old Dominion, they're impressive offensively in a lot of ways. What jumps out to you the most about them from an offensive standpoint?
They're just deep. You know, they really drive the ball. They've got a lot of power. They don't strike out a ton, and you know, they've got obviously a very high batting average, and they take good at bats. It's an older group. It's a talented group. They have strength. They have experience, and so they're a lot of these teams now that you're seeing play here deep into the postseason are because they have veteran guys, experienced guys that have a ton of at bats under their belts, and this is a talented veteran team.
Yeah, talk about a team that's coming on. Andrew Abbott, the starter for Virginia, has not allowed an earned run in his last 28 1/3 innings. And Virginia, in their last 10 games as a team offensively, they're hitting .315. They got off to a terrible start, but they have found some things both offensively, and then they're going to throw this stud on the mound tomorrow. Gamecocks will have their hands full. More to come here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. A warm and humid overnight, a low dipping down to 68. Tomorrow will be much like today with muggy conditions, but a little less chance of rain. We'll mix a little sun and more clouds. The high hits 87. For the weekend, a 30% chance of showers, both Saturday and Sunday. High temps in the middle to upper 80s. I'm Kevin Cohn with your On Point local weather.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-380-4452. 800-380-4452. That's 800-380-4452. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Celebrity attorney F. Lee Bailey has died. He was 87. The death was confirmed Thursday by Peter Horstman, who worked with Bailey as an associate in the same law office for 7 years. In a career that spanned decades, Bailey defended O.J. Simpson, Patricia Hearst, and the alleged Boston Strangler. Bailey has been called arrogant, egocentric, and contemptuous of authority, but he also was acknowledged as bold, brilliant, meticulous, and tireless in the defense of his clients. But Bailey was disbarred in Florida and Massachusetts in the early 2000s for mishandling $6 million worth of stock for a client, but he also won the right to practice law in Maine in 2013. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 23 points, the Nasdaq dropped 141, the S&P lower by 15. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you ready to make your money work for you rather than you working for your money? Dave Ramsey here. Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union, serving the Midlands since 1936. Palmetto Citizens is not a mega bank, so you can count on good old-fashioned customer service and the profits going back to you. Plus, they care about your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org, federally insured by the NCUA.
So I spotted some cracks in the house, and rather than stress all over it, I just reached out. I called the folks at TerraTech to come on out and take a look. And they did come out, and they explained to me that fortunately, I wasn't looking at foundation failure, just normal settling in the home. That was a big, big relief. Now, I got to know these folks, and now I'm proud to enthusiastically suggest TerraTech as your source for foundation stabilization, for building or repairing retaining walls, so much more. I've been out to several of their job sites to see these repairs. It is awesome to see how they restore a home's value and give you back your peace of mind at the same time. I believe in their process. Listen, TerraTech is family owned. They're local, and that matters. For 38 plus years, matters so much to me. It should also to you when you're talking about your biggest financial asset, your home. So take a look at the house. See if you have any issues. You don't want to ignore cracks in the walls. And if you find any, get in touch with TerraTech. Online, it's terratechinc.com or call them 791-8888.
Hey, I'm State Representative Chris Wooten.
And I'm State Representative Micah Caskey.
Join us on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. on The Rep.
We'll talk about everything that's happening in the State House and give you an insider's perspective.
All from the General Assembly. So join us at 9 a.m. on The Point, 100.7 FM or 1470 a.m.
There's never an HVAC expert around when you need one. Enter the field in less than 6 months with the Midlands Tech entry-level HVAC Tech program. Evening classes just twice a week for a seriously in-demand field in famously hot Columbia. Practical, hands-on labs with instructors who work in the industry. Focus on diagnosing and troubleshooting HVAC issues. Scholarships are available. Learn more at midlandstech.edu or call 732-0432. Tell them you heard it on The Point and get 10% off the cost of the program.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Little Headbangers Ball going on this Thursday night. Remember that show, Chris? Headbangers Ball.
I do. I'm somewhat of a heavy metal fan, so yeah, I love that. You know, Dee Snider and the House of Hair.
Are you
on
serious?
the weekends? Oh
You
yeah,
do not
man.
strike me as heavy metal.
You know, my parents say the same thing. That I love heavy metal, I love classic rock. I'm sort of old school music, so yeah.
By the way, for those watching our wonderful stream on Twitter and on Facebook, and on, you adjust your camera, and on YouTube, I notice now you got a different angle tonight, but last night I saw some nice awards on the wall there. Saw some Clemson stuff hanging up there on the wall.
Yeah,
I was starting to wonder.
This is my my split sort of man cave. One side South Carolina, the other side is Clemson.
Oh, aren't you the down the middler?
And then at the back wall, it's all Clinton High School stuff.
Oh, nice.
From days
Gone
of yore.
How about some Coastal? You better have some Coastal.
I do.
Now, you are wearing a teal shirt tonight.
Yes, this is my fishing shirt that I use every time I go fishing.
I've got that same shirt. And I'm serious. I've got a fishing shirt, same color, teal. Love it. Those are the best shirts.
Columbia shirts, oh, they're awesome. Now, I have not gone fishing since my grandfather passed away. He was a big hunter and fisherman. And so I used to love going with him. But since he passed away when I was in high school, I never was too much of an outdoorsman, though I enjoy when Captain Billy Downer comes on the program for SC Wild. He can teach us a thing or two. Maybe I'll ask him about the fishing shirt in 2 weeks.
He can certainly help you with anything with fishing. Are you going to fish when you're down at the beach?
Probably not. My brother-in-law is a big fisherman, so I'm going to watch him. But he gets see, I learned a long time ago that the negative to hunting and fishing, you for some reason, fish only bite at 5 a.m. and the deer are only out at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why that is.
Yeah. Because they don't expect anybody to have a gun out there at 4 in the morning or dropping a line at 6 in the morning. They think they're safe. But I'm like
anybody with some sense would not be.
Anything that's done before the sun rises. I kind of have the approach of Steve Spurrier. His approach is nothing good happens after 2 a.m. All right, my approach is nothing good happens before 11 a.m. So that's my approach to life.
And to answer your question, I do have coastal stuff on the front wall over here, including
you better
baseball cap and a national championship ring.
You better have
absolutely.
Stuff on there.
I'm
Being
big
the sideline voice for
big
football
on these Chanticleers.
Basketball voice as well. You better have some Coastal.
I know where my bread is buttered, my friend.
There you go. A little bit more on Virginia and what's going on with them as they prepare for the Gamecocks. So talking about this starter, Andrew Abbott for Virginia, left-hander. He's a senior, so I think you'll hear coming up, but he could have gone last year in the draft, but his asking price was apparently too high. He would have been taken in the 5 rounds. He was asking for a lot, and he came back to school, wanted to come back to school. And I tell you, and you saw him at the ACC tournament, but his last 5 outings, a start against Virginia, 7 innings against Virginia Tech, 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs earned, no earned runs. Wake Forest, another start, 7 1/3 innings, no hits, no runs. They won that game 17-0. At Boston College, 6 2/3 innings, no earned runs, 3 hits. Against Virginia Tech in the tournament, he went an inning, came out of the bullpen, pitched an inning in a 3-2 win, and he allowed a hit but no runs. And against Notre Dame, back on May 29th in a 14-1 win, 6 1/3, 5 hits, no runs. Struck out 9. Struck out 16 against Wake Forest. Struck out 14 against Duke. Struck out 14 against Florida State. Has thrown as many as 121 pitches this season. So the Gamecocks they're stepping into it with this guy. I got to believe, Chris.
No doubt, no doubt. And one thing about him as well, for whatever reason, when he pitches, his offense steps up too. I mean, he has gotten tremendous run support running through those games that you referenced, including the Notre Dame game at the tournament where they just embarrassed the Fighting Irish 14-1. They are playing about as well as anybody coming into the tournament, along with Duke out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Though I am a little disappointed. We might have been able to gauge just how good Old Dominion is. They were supposed to play Virginia back in the middle of April, and it was postponed. I'm assuming for weather, but did not get a chance to play ODU, or we might even have a better look at 2 of the 3 teams that South Carolina potentially could face this weekend, or at least a gauge as to, all right, Virginia played, team plays A, Team A plays Team B, so how does Team C fare against Team B? Well, I guess we'll never know, but one thing for sure, when Abbott takes the mound, he gets some offensive run support as well. And that's something that Brett Carey cannot afford, because I think you're right. I think this is going to be a relatively low-scoring game if Carey is on his game.
Okay. We're efforting to get Chris Finwood on as well. He's the coach at ODU in Jacksonville, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And the probable starting pitchers for ODU will be a right-hander, Hunter Gregory, 8-2, 2.86 for Jacksonville. Tyler Santana, right-hander, 5-7, 4.68. Of course, when your team is 16-32, not many pitchers have a winning record, if any. By the way, ODU's Carter Trice was named an All-American today by Collegiate Baseball, a freshman, batting .359 with 13 homers. South Carolina's Wes Clark was named to that All-American team as well. I think he was named 3rd team.
He was.
If I'm not mistaken. Okay. Here is Brian O'Connor, head coach of the Virginia Cavaliers. They did a session with the Virginia media, but we were in on that as well. We listened. We didn't speak. We listened. And here he is talking to the Virginia media from Columbia. They came into Columbia yesterday and got themselves set up and ready to go. So from Columbia, he met with his media today via Zoom to talk about this regional.
We're certainly excited to be here. Columbia is a great town. Obviously, they love their baseball here at South Carolina. Beautiful stadium, great fan base, great atmosphere for an NCAA regional. So we're excited to be here. We're excited to go out and practice today, and then tee it up tomorrow at 12 o'clock noon. And Andrew Abbott's going to take the ball for us. I'm excited to see him start in this regional and hopefully get us up to a great start. South Carolina's got a really great ball club. They're starting their closer all year, who started the last 2 weekends. He will start tomorrow, who I've watched a video on him over the last 2 days. And, he's got a really good arm and seems to have terrific stuff. So it looks like there's going to be 2 great starting pitchers matched up against each other tomorrow. So it's just excited to get started, looking forward to it, and roll to some questions.
Coach, how important is it in terms of advancing to get that first game and to get off to the strong start for the weekend?
Well, it's important. If you go back and look at the history of people winning NCAA regionals, whether it be us here at Virginia or other teams, winning the first game is pretty important. Winning the first 2 is really important. It's pretty rare. It's a smaller percentage chance if you don't win the first 2 that you're gonna have a tough time advancing on. So I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We play a great opponent tomorrow, great team tomorrow. We're going to pour everything we can into winning that first one and see where we go from there. But there's no question, Bennett, it's a huge advantage to not only win the first one, but you got to win it's winning the first 2. Whether if it really doesn't matter if you win the first one if you don't win the second one as well. Both of a loss in either game puts you in the same exact situation, right? So, but we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We're focused on, obviously, South Carolina tomorrow. That's got a great club. We're going to need to play really fantastic baseball.
Abbott has never pitched on this stage before, but I'm assuming that's probably not much of a concern going into tomorrow, the way he's looked basically all season.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. I would say there's a really high percentage of players in college baseball this year that haven't played in an NCAA regional or pitched in an NCAA regional. Really, you think about it, because they haven't existed for 2 years, right? And so if you're a freshman or sophomore in college baseball, you haven't had the chance. So it is what it is. Andrew, I'm not concerned about it at all. He's pitched on the biggest stages. This guy, was on the mound at the end of the game for Team USA in foreign lands to win games. So he'll be ready to go for sure.
Brian, it seems like South Carolina has one of the more powerful lineups that you'll face in terms of home run hitters. How much have you studied those guys, and along with Andrew, and you have to be particularly leery of a lineup like that?
Well, South Carolina's got, one of the more powerful lineups that we've faced all year. You got a really good lineup when you have four players in your lineup that have over 10 home runs. And they got a guy that has over 20 that really is very, very rare to see in college baseball these days. You used to see it back when we're playing with the Fred Flintstone bats, right? But, with these new bats, to see somebody that has over 20 home runs is quite impressive. So, we're aware of it. We're going to have to execute. They make you pay when you make mistakes. And so Andrew and the other guys are going to have to execute. We're going to have to minimize damage. What I mean by that is, hey, they might get a home run. We just got to make sure it's not a 3-run home run because we walked 2 guys or we walked somebody and didn't make a play, because that's the kind of lineup they have, and it's talented. And so we're going to have to certainly be at our best.
You've put up a lot of crooked numbers on the scoreboard in the past few weeks. What's been the key for getting the bats to come alive, and how big has Kyle Teal been in this stretch?
Well, Kyle Teal's been huge. Kyle Teal is a really, really talented hitter. As you know, we didn't have him the first 10 games of the year. And once he got plugged in there, he certainly made a difference for us all year long. He's very talented. You look at kind of, early April when we started to make a turn, you look at what we've done offensively up until that point. And since that point is pretty special. And that right now we have the kind of offensive lineup that we thought we would have. And so that's got some guys driving balls out of the ballpark. Alex Tappan's performing at the level that we thought that he would, right? And Zach Geloff and Nick Kent, things like that. So I'm excited that it's taken a long time, but we're here and we're performing at the level that I believe is commensurate with our talent. So because it's going to take a lot, I've spent a lot of time, educating our guys, talking to our guys, investigating into what is the formula and method that in our history that it's taken to win NCAA regionals. And there's not like one formula, but there's a few constants that, like, we have played elite defense, very few errors in regionals when we've won them. We haven't played very good defense when we haven't advanced out of it, right? And another one has been we've had offensive players that have really, really emerged and had big days, multiple ones, in a game where you have 3 or 4 players that have multiple hits and multiple RBIs. Because at this time of the year, when you got a chance, you got somebody down and you have opportunities to capitalize on it, put somebody away, you got to do it. And so that's going to be the common theme of these regionals when we've won them. So, I'm looking for some of those key marquee players to rise up this weekend and have big days for us.
You mentioned Brett Carey at the beginning, South Carolina starter. I was curious what really stands out when you look at him in his game. I know he's kind of had some starts, but also been out of the bullpen in different roles.
Yeah, I looked at the two starts. I watched him on TV last night face Tennessee, and Tennessee didn't get very good swings at him, and so it looks like he's got a very good fastball, got a couple of, got a cutter, got a breaking ball. Looks like he executes really, really well to only have 9 walks and 50-some innings, and the strikeouts he does, tells you that the guy's got pretty elite stuff. So we're going to have to buckle our chin straps. We're going to have to be ready to go and go on the attack and be ready for him because it looks like he's got pretty high-level stuff. It looks like we got 2 guys squaring off in game 1 tomorrow. They got elite college baseball kind of stuff on the mound. So, hopefully we can, get some opportunities. And when we do get those opportunities, it doesn't look like it gives you very many of them, that you're going to have to earn them because he didn't walk guys that we're going to need to capitalize.
Well, you can tell he knows he's in SEC territory when he's talking about buckling his chin straps to get ready for a baseball game. He knows he's in SEC land. And good coach, though. The thing is, they won the national championship in 2015, right? And next 2 years, Virginia went to the NCAA tournament, but they did not advance out of the regional round. Then 2018, 2019, stayed home, didn't make the tournament. It happens. Even to the great programs, it happens. And, of course, they were on their way last year. They were like 14-4 last year when the season ended. So they were on their way to another big year. This year, 29-23, I mean, not great, but they've gotten hot at the right time. But, yeah, they won the national championship in 15. They went to hosted a regional in 16, went to TCU for a regional in 17, stayed home in 18 with a winning record, stayed home in 19, 32-24. They stayed home. So my point is, great programs, it's happened. South Carolina missed a couple of years ago. Clemson's missing this year. Competition for baseball has gotten very, very intense, and the quality of baseball across the land, Chris, has improved immensely over the last 10 years.
I was talking with our affiliate here in Florence this morning, talking with Alan Smothers about that very same fact and sort of sizing up.
He goes by the bad boy.
Yeah, I can't. I love
the
Alan to death.
bad
I just can't.
Come on, say it. Bad boy. Right now, he's sipping on a cocktail on his back porch, smoking a
and
cigar.
Enjoying this repartee between the two of us.
He is.
But I was telling him the same thing.
I want you to say it.
Oh, you're not going to let me off that. All right. I was chatting with the bad boy this morning of sports radio, and we were talking about Monty Lee, obviously, and I said, that's what's made it so much more difficult now because universities across the country have figured out that baseball is a sport that they can have success in. And, we went back and doing some research about the last time Clemson had a season like this. It was 1957. And then Bill Wilhelm came in the next year, and the rest is history. But if you look through some of the seasons that Wilhelm coached at Clemson, he had 60-win seasons, 58-win seasons. I mean, that was when you could be one gigantically dominant program and didn't have to worry about many other teams. You could rack up 50 and 60 wins almost on a consistent basis. That's never going to happen again. I mean, look how good Arkansas is. They lose games too because across the board, college baseball, in my opinion, has grown more rapidly than maybe any other sport on the men's side, for sure, over the last 15 or 20 years. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say so, both in terms of facilities, interest, scrutiny, television, and pay. The only thing that hasn't grown, and this is what gets everybody closely involved, is they're still stuck at 11.7 scholarships they have to divide.
And that drives coaches nuts, and you can understand it. But on the flip side, it's a Title IX issue. But aside from that, when you see basketball teams that have everybody on their squad full scholarship, everybody on a football team is full scholarship at the D1 level. Yet in baseball, they've got, even with a guy like Andrew Abbott, I'd be surprised, as good as he is, I would be surprised if he's a full ride guy at Virginia. He may be. Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter probably are at Vanderbilt and well-deserved. But, yeah, you've got to spread it out and be much more frugal with your scholarship money at the college baseball landscape. And I think that's another reason that teams across the board have been much, much better and much more competitive.
Mhm.
You look at this field across from Arkansas all the way down to, I guess, either Jacksonville or, gosh, who's the other team that's in with below 500 mark? Anyway, Southern, that's right. They're the other team with a losing record across the board. I mean, there are probably 15 or 20 teams that could come out and go to Omaha and legitimately have a shot to play for. I still think Arkansas is going to win it all, but have a shot to play for a national championship because the parity in college baseball is as great as it's ever been. And back to Brian O'Connor real quick. The best quote he had was when he was chatting about the days gone by and playing with the Fred Flintstone bats. Because I think everybody, as Pat and I were chatting a few moments ago, we all knew exactly what he's talking about because the ball just traveled off those bats so easily, and home runs were going out of the ballpark, going out of style. So I loved his reference to the Fred Flintstone bats. You don't hear coaches dig into old school cartoons all that often.
No, I agree. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, we'll get to recruiting coming up in a few minutes. I was going to try and squeeze it in here, but I think we got so much. I don't want to squeeze. So we'll hold off on that for the next half hour. Mike Morgan coming up after the top of the hour break. And we're hoping to have the coach on from Old Dominion. He's got meetings going on, and I guess they're trying to get some practice in and all this sort of stuff around the Storms. Been working with their SID to try to get him on with us here. Love to talk to him. Maybe we'll have him at 7:30 for you. You know, you mentioned Title IX. And with the Celtics now looking for a head coach, do you know, and I'm okay with this. I know this will shock you. I'm okay with this. There is serious conversation taking place about the Celtics hiring a female head coach. They're talking about, I got to go back and look. They're talking about there's a couple of females who have been, well, one who is a former assistant with the Celtics, and she played at Connecticut. Who is that, Pat? Help me. Can't come up with the name.
Are you thinking of Kara Lawson?
That's it. Yeah. She's now the head coach at Duke.
Yes.
Women. And I mean, there is serious talk out there. When you read NBA writers and they're talking about possibles for the Celtics head coaching job, she's one of them. And then there's the coach, the female coach who was with the Spurs.
Becky Harmon,
another one. And you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with that, Chris. If Dawn Staley wanted to go coach an NBA team, I mean, I think X's and O's and handling personnel and making game time decisions and all that, if you're of that quality to coach in the NBA and you have a system and, the players will respect you, which I think in today's world, I think players would be respectful. I'm okay with that. Let's do it. Bring it on.
Well, and I think sooner or later it is going to happen. We are going to have a female coach coaching a men's team. I don't know at what level. In professional sports, basketball seems to make the most sense. I can't imagine we would ever have a female coaching a NFL team, or even a Major League Baseball team. That might be somewhat of a stretch, but basketball seems to make the most sense because that game translates for the most part on the men's side to the women's side about as equally as any of the sports. I mean, if you use baseball and softball, two entirely different games. So I would think that the basketball is probably the one place we'll see that happen. And you're right. The key is going to be you've got to get a clubhouse or a locker room that will respect you bringing in a female coach. And the ones that you mentioned, including Dawn Staley, I think would bring the cachet of having one big, Becky Harmon, certainly Kara Lawson, who is now in the process of trying to turn the Duke women back around. And then Dawn Staley's resume speaks for itself. I think if she walked into any NBA locker room as a head coach, she would have immediate respect from everybody in that locker room for the most part.
Yeah. And, of course, it's got to start at the top of the administration. And if they say, this is our coach, regardless of whether it's a man or a woman, you will respect her and you will follow her lead. And, if you can't find yourself being able to do that, then we'll accommodate you, unless, of course, you're a great, great superstar player.
And I mean, LeBron James can get a female coach fired just as easily as he gets a male coach fired.
But what player wants to be that guy today in today's world to say something about, hey, I don't want to play for a woman. I mean, how's that going to play out nationally?
It won't play well.
No. You'll be skewered on ESPN for 3 days. Stephen
Even
A.
though
Smith will spit your name out like so much tobacco juice. All right, got to hit a break at the top of the hour. Morgan on the Move coming up next here on Sports Talk.
Local in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Columbia's local talk radio experience. 107 The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Mike Lindell, founder and CEO of MyPillow Incorporated, has filed a lawsuit in Minnesota U.S. District Court seeking to stop what he calls lawfare. It seeks to, as he puts it, quote, stop electronic voting machine companies from weaponizing the litigation process to silence political dissent and suppress evidence showing machines were manipulated to affect outcomes and the November 2020 general election, unquote. Lindell has filed lawsuits against Dominion Voting Systems Incorporated, Smartmatic USA Corporation, and other entities. The lawsuit seeks more than $2 billion in damages. Lindell tells the Salem Radio Network,
you can't go on any radio stations and talk about Dominion or election fraud. And because they've scared, they put everybody into fear that if you even go on there, you're going to get sued.
Dominion has filed a number of defamation lawsuits against individuals that have publicly questioned the credibility of its voting machines, saying they were impugning its integrity and doing harm to the company. Doctors reported promising results from an experimental cancer drug that delivers radiation directly to tumor cells.
An emerging class of medicine called radiopharmaceuticals may become a new way to treat patients with hard-to-reach or inoperable cancers. In a study involving over 800 men with advanced prostate cancer, released by the American Society of Clinical Oncology, a tumor-targeting radiation therapy from drug maker Novartis kept cancer at bay for nearly 9 months compared to 3 months for people receiving standard treatment. And survival was better too, 15 months versus 11 months. The drug is administered through an IV, and each dose contains trillions of engineered molecules. A tracker portion of the molecule hunts down cancer cells. The payload portion emits the radiation. Experts say radiopharmaceuticals may be the next big wave of therapeutic development. I'm Jennifer King.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discounted to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast or your money back.
The world's largest meat processing company has resumed most production after a weekend cyber attack, but experts say the vulnerabilities exposed by this attack and others are far from resolved. Steve Meyer, a consulting economist to both the National Pork Producers Council and the National Pork Board.
If you happen to buy your products from a grocery store that buys its meat from JBS, you might see some problems this weekend.
John Hultquist of Mandiant Threat Intelligence says food and beverage companies have become targets for ransomware cyber attacks.
We've observed evidence of ransomware attacks at over 80 food and beverage companies that led to disruptions from ransomware over the last few years. This problem is escalating and getting increasingly out of hand.
The FBI attributed the attack to the Russian-speaking ransomware gang Revil. News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. A warm and humid overnight, a low dipping down to 68. Tomorrow will be much like today with muggy conditions, but a little less chance of rain. We'll mix a little sun and more clouds. The high hits 87. For the weekend, a 30% chance of showers both Saturday and Sunday. High temps in the middle to upper 80s. I'm Kevin Cohn with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, busy first hour behind us. We heard from Mark Kingston. We heard from Brian O'Connor coming up. Going to hear from the recruiting report. That'll be delivered to you here in a little bit. Also, some comments from Mike Krzyzewski from his retirement press conference today, though he's still going to coach another season. And we possibly, at the bottom of the hour, will have the coach on from Old Dominion with us, Chris Finwood. No promises there. Fingers crossed. Love to have him on. Try to get him on. In between all of that, let's welcome in Mike Morgan for another edition of Morgan on the Move here on Sports Talk. Of course, Mike getting ready to handle the regional up at Notre Dame. So he's got one of the best teams in the country, obviously. Mike brought to you by Stuart Wingo of Ameris Mortgage. You can save thousands on a refi or a new mortgage today. Just give Stuart Wingo a call at 803-319-1777. So when you saw the field being laid out on Monday, what did you think about the committee's work? Were you pretty satisfied with what they did?
I was overall. I think this was the hardest year ever for the committee. You've got some conferences playing all conference schedules. You've got some conferences playing fewer games. You've got, some conferences playing double headers every weekend. You have some that don't. I mean, it was just some conferences that had no conference tournament. You had a complete mixed bag. So the data points that you normally use just weren't there. And RPI was very misleading. I thought the ACC hurt itself, and I had a number of coaches tell me this when I was in Charlotte to work that tournament. The ACC hurt itself by playing 6 more conference games and 6 fewer overall games. That's a swing of 12 games that you beat yourself up more, and you don't get to enhance your record and your resume by feasting on weaker mid-major opponents. That hurt a program like Pitt, who should have been in the tournament. And I know no one will cry for Pitt baseball because they're not in a hotbed. If it was an SEC school or an ACC school, they'd be crying bloody murder. But because it's Pitt, not a huge deal. Some people were surprised at Alabama. I was not. I thought, if anything, if you wanted to take a team out, it wouldn't have been Alabama. It would have been one of the mid-majors that got in as an at-large. But overall, I don't think there was that many surprises. We knew the SEC and ACC would lead the way in bids, as they almost always do. And, I think one of the bigger surprises for some was what is happening right in your backyard. And that is, of course, the Gamecocks getting to host. But as I've said before, if it was going to be close, having a 2-time national champion Hall of Fame coach as your AD certainly doesn't hurt the cause when dealing with the committee.
No question about it. And, of course, you had a situation there where Old Dominion not prepared to host an event like this. Then you had Gonzaga out on the West Coast. That probably was the other big question. Would Gonzaga get a regional and host? If not, that would open the door for South Carolina to host and Old Dominion to be number 1 and South Carolina to be number 2. Now, South Carolina plays Virginia tomorrow, and we've talked in the first hour about Virginia quite a bit. And this pitcher, Abbott, who'll be starting for a Virginia left-hander who's been real nasty of late, been pretty nasty all season long. You saw Virginia at the ACC tournament. They're a team that has found itself over the last 10 games or so. This going to be a trouble spot for the Gamecocks right from the start of the region?
I think so. I saw I saw Andrew Abbott in person, and I can tell you, just talking with Link Jarrett, the head coach of Notre Dame today, they're the team that got blanked by Abbott and Virginia. Otherwise, Notre Dame would have been playing in the semifinals in Charlotte. But it's this kid that you're about to see that shut him down. You know, he's a lefty, probably going to be a second, third round draft pick. He doesn't throw 96 like some of your guys. He's not electric like that, but he has one of those rising fastballs, so it appears to be climbing even though it stays on the same plane. And guys think it's coming at their belt, and by the time they swing, it's at the letters or at their chin, and you just can't catch up to it that high. And so he's just one of those guys. He'll work that fastball all day, and he will resemble a Friday night ace in the SEC, the kind of pitcher that gave Carolina problems all year long. So, you know, look, I'm on record. If the Gamecocks win tomorrow, I think they take the regional. I think they're going to the Supers. But that's going to be, without question, the biggest challenge. That matchup in game one against an elite arm in Abbott and a good, not great hitting team, but a good enough hitting team in Virginia.
Yeah. But now we shouldn't sell Brett Carey short. He can do some marvelous things as well, and his numbers are outstanding too. So he's capable of keeping the Gamecocks right in there. And now the question becomes, which coach makes the right call at the right time? I got to believe that they kind of throw the old book out the window, especially in the first 4 or 5 innings here. You get a runner on second, nobody out, you bunt him, no question, assuming you have a guy up there who can bunt. And you play your defense in if you have to keep a runner off the board if a guy's in a position to score. I think they're going to do a lot of small ball kind of tactics in the first 4 or 5 innings because they're thinking there's not going to be a lot of runs scored here.
Yeah, and that's something that Virginia has done for years under Coach O'Connor, right? I mean, that's one of their staples. They play small ball. That's in their DNA. And Mark Kingston's done quite a bit of that. I know he's a big analytics guy, and they've done that. You mentioned a key part of that equation. If they're a good bunter, and many of today's kids simply aren't, because they just don't want to do it, and it's not their key to getting pro scouts to look at them. But that's how you win games very often in the postseason. And to your point, there's no question. Carey could go out there and throw an 8-hit shutout. It would not shock me. He's terrific. I think this could very easily be a 3-2 type ball game. There's no doubt about that. And look, I give the Gamecocks an edge in almost every category in this regional. I think top to bottom, it's the best lineup. I think top to bottom, it's the best rotation. So all those, but you can have this. You know, this is my 20th regional, and what I've learned over time is that you can have a number of advantages on the old checklist, but really what it comes down to, and the ultimate X factor in one of these things compared to a basketball tournament or football, is that you're only as good as your starting pitcher very often in these. And so because it's Abbott, that could simply change the complete complexion of this regional. If it was their number 2 guy going up against Carey, I think the Gamecocks would be a heavy favorite. But because it's Abbott, I think it's basically a pick-em game in game one. And if you lose that first game, it's really hard to win your regional.
Morgan on the Move with Mike Morgan here tonight on Sports Talk. Looking forward to the start of the NCAA baseball tournament. Mike will be up in South Bend where he'll get to see Notre Dame, Central Michigan, also UConn and Michigan this weekend. And Mike, you brought up a really interesting point regarding Alabama and whether or not they should be in the tournament. You felt like they should be, but maybe one of the mid-majors who got in, and presumably, I guess you're talking about either Campbell out of the Big South who won the regular season or Liberty out of the A-Sun who also won the regular season but did not win their conference tournament. How do you deal with some of those mid-major teams? Should the regular season champion get the auto bid in your mind, or should we still have the tournament so you get teams like PC and Jacksonville here in Columbia that get an opportunity to get in?
I heard Phil chuckling in the middle of that question. So
as well.
sorry to interrupt your conversation, Phil. Look, I don't have a specific team I would oust. I just think overall there is a distinct difference in the schedules that a team in SEC, ACC, Big 12 are playing versus most of the mid-majors out there. And that includes Conference USA, who had a couple of teams that were right on the bubble. Does that mean a mid-major team can't win this thing? No, because we see it all the time, whether it's Kent State or Stony Brook or SEMO. I think there's a long list of mid-majors that have ruined the season of a Power 5 team, and it even made it to Omaha. I mentioned this is my 20th year, a couple of years, did not doing Braves radio. Well, it wasn't that long ago. I guess 21 years ago, I did Carolina versus Louisiana Lafayette, and we all know how that turned out. So the mid-majors, they belong in the tournament. They can play in the tournament. I just think when it's a bubble situation, more often than not, I happen to lean toward the team that's played a grueling conference slate and has that type of talent over some of the others.
Speaking of that, you've seen Duke, you've seen Tennessee play this season. Does Duke have a shot, a legitimate shot, maybe a better question, to get out of Knoxville? Or do you feel like Tennessee ultimately will outlast and win that region?
I think Duke has a shot. Having put Duke under the microscope and really breaking them down as I did this past weekend. I had them in a super 3 years ago. They're going for their third consecutive super regional. They're well coached by Coach Pollard. They have a deep and dangerous bullpen, and they've got some veterans in the lineup that would have been in the pros had it not been for a condensed draft. I thought Tennessee drew a very difficult regional as a whole, including Liberty, and I think Duke is a very dangerous team.
I think that's the most difficult region in the bunch. Would you agree?
It's right up there. I mean, I haven't sized them up 1 through 16, but it's right up there for sure.
All right, Mike. Thank you, man. Enjoy calling your games this weekend against in that Notre Dame regional. We'll be watching that as we watch the South Carolina regional here and the Presbyterian Vanderbilt regional.
A quick tidbit: Scott Wingo, MVP for the Gamecocks in 2011. New coach for Notre Dame, Link Jarrett, their head coach, raves about Scott Wingo, says he's one of the best additions that they could have made and think he's a rising star in the coaching fraternity. So if you're wondering where Scott Wingo turned out, he's in South Bend. Stuart Wingo, of course, is in Columbia. He's saving you thousands on mortgages. But Scott Wingo is coaching in South Bend.
Well, I'll tell you what, Stuart Wingo saving you thousands of dollars, but Scott Wingo saving Ray Tanner's hide against Florida in 2011.
Right.
Bases loaded. He brings the infield in. A hot shot right at Wingo. Throws a bouncer to home plate. Barry makes the play. Catches the ball. Steps on the plate. Fires to first. Double play. That changed that entire championship. Well, that was in the, I want to say, 9th inning or 8th inning. It was late when that happened.
Yeah, it was backs against the wall. You're absolutely right. And, of course, came up with he was a guy that maximized his physical ability when he was able to get on base one way or another, whether it was taking, wearing one, drawing walks. Really was one of those. He's the kind of kid you only see in the college game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Wingo, I know he played a few years of pro ball, but he was never going to make the bigs. But the college game, thankfully, still has room for a guy like that. And he'll always go down in the history books as one of the key players in that, and really in both national championships. But it's really neat to see him climbing up the ranks in the coaching fraternity. So if you got no other reason to pull for Notre Dame, Scott Wingo is going to be coaching first base for the Irish.
Yeah, his interviews with the media, he'd wrap it up. He'd wrap up an answer. He'd run out of things to say, and he'd just go, "That's all I got. That's all I got."
And that's all I have.
That's
so good night, everybody.
That's all we got for you. All right, my man. Take care. Enjoy your weekend.
See you now.
All right, see you.
Thanks, Mike.
Actually, I have to apologize, Chris, while y'all were talking. I actually had a yawn go out there. That was not related to the interview. It's It's related to late-night recruiting work.
Well, I was concerned. There are times you and I and Pat can chat and our listeners don't hear what's going on. So I'd assumed that was not on air until Mike said he heard it too. And then I got a little bit more concerned. So no worries. I
looked over at Pat and I realized the microphone was on, and I said, cut my mic real quick. I said, I just yawned on the air. I didn't mean to. Just one of those things. Okay, we'll
Live
come back
radio.
and give you the recruiting report for tonight. And some Mike Krzyzewski comments coming up from his press conference earlier today. And who knows, maybe the ODU coach will join us. No confirmation on that yet, but we're hoping so. We'll be back. Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills three major responsibilities. One, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. Two, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
There are no words to describe it. The isolation, the boredom, the loneliness. If you're wondering where your teenage son or daughter's spirit went, you're hardly alone. The past year has been devastating, especially for them. But here's the good news. They might just find it again, playing high school sports. Workouts that stimulate, teammates and coaches that care, the sense of belonging so many of us have been missing lately. That's what school sports are all about. The sense of achievement is real, and the camaraderie is hard to beat. Coping with uncertainty is difficult, but school sports can help the teenagers in your family start feeling like themselves again. Encourage them to give it a try. High school sports, it's so much more than a game.
This message presented by the South Carolina High School League and the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment. The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology at Florence Darlington Technical College specializes in sophisticated manufacturing services and workforce development training. The SIMT offers rapid prototyping, additive manufacturing, advanced machining, and business incubation services to clients from across the state and nation, plus social media listening services and rentals of conferencing and training spaces. The SIMT also houses an 800-seat auditorium, a conference center that can seat more than 1,200 for dinner or a luncheon, and numerous classroom spaces with state-of-the-art presentation technologies. Visit our website at simt.com or call 866-304-7468 for more information. The SIMT, technology to grow your business. The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Player practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit MainCourseSC.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
It is time for the recruiting report here tonight on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. Hey, don't forget, every day, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2, one of the best luncheon buffets that you'll find anywhere in the Midlands of South Carolina. If you're in town or you live here, get out to Seawells, enjoy the daily luncheon buffet. You can eat it there. You can pick it up and take it with you, and they do it the right way, all very nice, neat, and clean. And, of course, need the very best in the catering business. Look no farther than Seawells. Their phone number, 803-771-7385. They'll come to you and help you host your event at your location, or you can bring it to their facility at 1125 Rosewood Drive. They have a beautiful facility there. 803-771-7385. SeawellsCateringSC.com is how you can check out the menu options. Before we hit the recruiting notes, just coming out from the SEC, the league has approved intra-conference transfers, immediate eligibility. So if it's good for Alabama, it's good for the SEC. I think that's how they kind of look at things in that league. So Georgia, benefits with the transfer of the tight end. Alabama's got the linebacker coming from Tennessee. They'll be eligible to play right away. Of course, it was happening all over the country, so it's bound to happen there in the SEC as well.
May I interject real quick before you get into recruiting? This won't take 2 seconds. I love the quote from SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. He said, while maintaining the expectation that coaches and others avoid improper recruiting, this change will ensure that student athletes who enroll at an SEC member institution will enjoy the flexibility afforded to other student athletes across the nation. That first part is the most intriguing part. Yeah. Maintaining the expectation that coaches and others avoid improper recruiting. You don't think there's any tampering going on now?
I don't know what planet he's, revolving on. Wishful thinking. But, I mean, look, his league doesn't need any reason to cheat, okay? We know that in the SEC. Whatever it takes to get it done. And, yeah, you're just setting it up. This is all just setting up for tampering in one way or another. And you don't have to go to the kid to tamper. It's like, I think we've had coaches on the show. Was it Shane Beamer or somebody else? You don't have to go to the player. You can, be talking up the player's former head coach, looking at another kid and go, hey, by the way, we're losing a couple of linebackers. If Joey Bag of Donuts there over at State U is interested in a chance to play right away at our place, I mean, is that tampering if you go through the coach and plant the seed and the coach calls the kid up and says, hey, so-and-so can take you right away? Don't think that's not happening. And you know what? It's all legal. It's all part of the game that they're now playing. So, speaking of all that, we mentioned at the outset, we'll tell you again, defensive end Davin Jackson, 6'2", 260 of Sumter, offered today by South Carolina. Big for him. He was going to be moving to Warner Robins, Georgia, and plans changed, so he's coming back to Sumter for his senior year. That's big for the Sumter Gamecocks. And then the offer he got from the USC Gamecocks today, that was big. He told us this afternoon that he couldn't speak at first. It was crazy. He was in Shane Beamer's room, and he was talking with Beamer and Jimmy Lindsay, had a great conversation, and he ended up with an offer. He said he was super excited. He and his mom, she was with him, and he said he had a good camp today. He did some crazy things, he said, that he'd never done before on the one-on-ones. He says like he really doesn't spin, but he tried that out, and it worked out in his favor. He said a lot of stuff worked in his favor today. And he said they loved the way he performed at the camp, and they love his film, and he was able to move and show them how fast he is. One of the things he's had to deal with is a lack of height at 6'2" for his position. So he's had to show other things that he can do well to overcome that, and apparently South Carolina thinks it's just fine. Now, he's got offers from NC State, Syracuse, East Carolina, Kansas, West Virginia, Coastal, Georgia Tech, Tulane, and Appalachian State. Official visits to Syracuse June 18th and Coastal Carolina June 25th. But the USC offer certainly changes things in his mind. He said it's going to impact him a lot. And he said they've been looking at him for a while. His head coaches told him. He said he really liked the facility. It was super nice. And he said the offer has moved South Carolina front and center He said probably in his top 3 for sure, NC State and probably Syracuse or Coastal would be the others in his top 3. Last season, he had 72 tackles, 26 tackles for loss, and 9 sacks. Okay? When we come back from the break, we'll give you more recruiting. Similarly, Clemson's in great shape with a big-time defensive end, Jeremiah Alexander from Alabaster, Alabama. Doesn't that just sound like a football town in Alabama? Where you from? Alabaster. You Alabaster? You are one Alabaster. Seriously, you could use it that way. You no good Alabaster. That does sound like a good football town. They got some players. This is one of them. We'll tell you about it after the break.
Advertising on radio, on television, in print, the internet. Hey, you just want results, and I can't blame you for that. The Point can get you results. We've been around now for 7 years. We have advertisers that have been with us for all of these 7 years, and you don't keep spending your marketing dollars unless something's working pretty well. We're a local, small business, and if you're one too, call me. I'm Kevin Cohen, and I want to work with you as a partner. I can make your budget work. Doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is. We're not corporate. I don't need any permission from a corporate office up north to create a package that fits your needs. I care deeply for our advertising partners. I care about you, and our listeners will care about you. They'll be incredibly loyal. They will support you if you support The Point. Now, if you're curious, let's just talk. My direct line, call me, 563-8558, or email me, and I'll call you right back. My email is kev@makethepointradio.com. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Again, Kevin Cohen, 563-8558, kev@makethepointradio.com. And thanks for the opportunity.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Joe Biden and Republicans are trying to break a logjam on how to pay for infrastructure. The president's proposing a 15% minimum tax on corporations and the possibility of revenues from increased IRS enforcement of unpaid taxes. A person familiar with the talk says Mr. Biden made the offer to Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia on Wednesday as part of an effort to reach a bipartisan compromise. Mr. Biden has proposed increasing the corporate tax rate to 28% from 21% to help fund his plan for roads, bridges, electric vehicles, and broadband internet. But that rate hike is a non-starter with Republicans. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 23 points, the Nasdaq plunged 141, the S&P 500 lower by 15. More details at srnnews.com.
I'm home. Is the AC turned on? It's hot.
I've got bad news.
What?
Our AC died.
You're kidding me.
No, but there's a bright side. Our contractor says Dominion Energy offers rebates up to $500 if we upgrade to Energy Star qualified equipment.
That's nice, but almost sounds too good to be true.
No, I checked it out. See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Spring is more than pollen season. It also means it's termite season. Palmetto Exterminators offers a free inspection at your home to determine any possible issues. Palmetto Exterminators offers the best termite agreement anywhere, but they do so much more. They offer complete pest control, mosquito control, wildlife trapping and removal, and nobody, I mean nobody, can offer you more peace of mind at your home or business. Now, how do I know that? Well, I never tell you to use someone like Palmetto Exterminators unless I practice what I preach. I've been a customer for 19 years, and they are wonderful. My guy, Ron Byers, and his team over at Palmetto Exterminators, they've looked after my family forever. We have no pest control issues whatsoever. But if we did, all it takes is one phone call, and Palmetto Exterminators will fix it. It's pretty simple. Call Palmetto Exterminators and cross pest control right off your list of concerns. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net, or give my guy Ron a call, 254-5833.
Hi, this is Marcia Clayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for The Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for The Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
Hi, honey. Could you drop by True Pharmacy on the way home and pick up another bottle of CBD for me?
Of course. I sure am glad that the CBD is helping you.
Yes, on my last visit to True Pharmacy, the pharmacist answered all my questions about CBD, got me started on a good dose, and I'm feeling much better.
I sure am glad we found True Pharmacy. Their staff is awesome, and they always take the time to care. True Pharmacy, located on Charleston Highway in West Columbia and Divine Street across from Greer High School.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. Let's continue with the recruiting report for you. Here on this Thursday night, got a lot more to tell you about. As I was teasing going into the break, defensive end Jeremiah Alexander from Alabaster, Alabama. National elite prospect, one of the first prospects in to see Clemson when the live period started on Tuesday. Stayed over. And Dabo Sweeney, Todd Bates, Lemansky Hall, they got a chance to jump in on the competition for this five-star rated the number one edge rusher in the country in the 24/7 Sports Composite. And the Clemson coaches and players made the best of their time with him, making him feel at home. He said it felt like family. It felt like it was genuine. He said, quote, "I can't say that Clemson isn't at the top spot right now because they are. Me and my family loved it as well. I genuinely felt a family vibe, and I also felt comfortable. That's two key things that I'm looking for when I commit to a school." So he's got Clemson right now at the top of his list. And they checked out the academics. They toured around the campus. He said they went to the big lake that surrounds Clemson. And they went to the game room, saw the campus, spent time with Sweeney, Bates, and Hall, getting to know them better. And he also talked to some of the players as well. So it was just a good visit for him. And he's got Clemson right now at the top of his list. That's pretty significant at this point. Now, he went to Georgia today. He's going to Alabama on Saturday. He's got an official visit to Central Florida this weekend. That's his only official visit of the month. Plans to set one with Clemson for the football season. He's committed to play in the All-American game in January. He's planning to wait until then to make his commitment public, though he said he could commit during the season depending on how the officials go at that time. So he was once committed to Alabama, and this will be a real test of Clemson's recruiting strength, trying to pull such an elite player out of Alabama that was once committed to Alabama that Alabama wants again. But they've done it before. Justin Ross, who Alexander knows, they played each other in high school, and E.J. Williams, that's who it is. He knows E.J. Williams, not Justin Ross. Ross is a couple of years older. All right, some other notes. 2023 linebacker Drake Bowen, Merrillville, Indiana, will visit Clemson June 9th. He's been to Notre Dame and Michigan. He'll also visit Tennessee, Ole Miss, Alabama, Auburn, and LSU this month. Greer tight end Jaleel Skinner, who was at Florida State Tuesday for their Midnight Madness, tweeted out that he's not on the verge of making a decision. Scheduled to visit Clemson next weekend. 2023 running back Jarvis Green of Dutch Fork going to camp at Clemson June 6th, USC June 19th. Also going to Wake Forest, East Carolina, Wofford, Coastal, Charleston Southern, Virginia Tech, Charlotte, and Furman. Insert a basketball note, big one. Kansas offered 6-foot point guard Jazzian Gortman from Keenan. Pretty significant. Back to football. USC offered 2024 safety Kelvin Hunter, 6'1", 185 of West Florence. Cornerback Jacoby Henderson of Catawba Ridge was at USC today for camp. Not offered yet. He is scheduled for officials this weekend at Central Michigan and June 25th at Marshall. Upcoming visit schedule for Dutch Fork receiver Antonio Williams, per his stepdad, Murphy Holloway. Remember Murphy Holloway? Great basketball player from, he played at Irmo and then Ole Miss, came to South Carolina, transferred, never played, really just sat out his transfer year, then transferred back to Ole Miss. He's still playing basketball. He's playing in Germany right now, still playing professional basketball. He's got a fitness center that he opened up on Main Street in downtown Columbia. Anyway, so his stepson, Antonio Williams, June 4th, that's tomorrow at Clemson. June 6th, back that up. Tomorrow is South Carolina. June 6th is Clemson. Georgia, June 11th. Auburn, June 12th. Alabama, June 13th. Ole Miss, June 18th. Those are all unofficial visits. He's not going to do any camps. No camp involvement for him. 2023 safety Michael Doherty, 6'1", 180 of Loganville, Georgia. He was at Clemson Thursday with several teammates. USC offered 2023 offensive tackle Lucas Simmons. He's 6'8", 300. He goes to that international school in Clearwater. He's a native of Sweden. Georgia Tech, Minnesota, Penn State, Arizona State, USF, and Oklahoma State are some other recent offers. USC offered 2024 athlete Khalil Bolden, 6'2", 181 of Buford, Georgia. Georgia Tech, Georgia, Michigan State, and Florida, some other early offers. Athlete KZ Adams, 5'8", 170, Gray Collegiate, was at USC camp today. 2023 quarterback Carson Black of Nation Ford will visit Louisville tomorrow. Hammond running back CJ Stokes was at USC today. And quarterback Dominique Ponder, 6'4", 183 of Miami, was at USC today. FIU, Southern Miss, and Liberty have offered him. There you go with the recruiting for now here on Sports Talk. We'll keep an eye on things. We'll report on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. On Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting. Pat, what you got?
Corn Murphy Holloway, just to help you out there, is from Irmo, but played at Dutch Fork. He was South Carolina Mr. Basketball in 2008 and is their all-time leading scorer at Dutch Fork.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
I have a question about recruiting before we move forward. The young man that you mentioned said he was not going to do any camps. What would be the positive to doing that, where you see a young man like Devin Jackson who went through Shane Beamer's camp today and ultimately got an offer from the Gamecocks? It would seem to me, as a novice recruiting person, that it would make sense to go through a camp.
Well, he's got the offers.
So he doesn't have to worry about it.
Devin Jackson needed to show South Carolina some things to get the offer. So he showed them some things. He got the offer. Now, Williams does not have a Clemson offer, and he's not going to work out at Clemson. He might be dealing with a little bit of an injury, like maybe a hamstring or a groin or something.
Right.
But he's got his offers, and I guess he doesn't feel the pressure to do so. Plus, he might not be totally healthy.
Sort of like a quarterback not throwing at the NFL Combine.
Exactly.
Or running the 40. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's like, look at my tape, look at what I've done. And you know what? I don't know. I mean, today for Davin Jackson, it worked out great. He earned himself an offer from South Carolina by his camp performance. I don't know that for everybody it's a good idea to do that, And I sometimes wonder decisions that are made based on camp performances. I mean, these are professional talent evaluators, and most times they know what they're doing, and they make mistakes. Professional evaluators make mistakes, but it would seem to me that, watching a guy run cones and run a few one-on-one drills and things like that in shorts and not even in regular football gear, and you're going to make a decision, based on that. Hopefully you've done a lot more film work and broken things down. And I'm sure they have with these players that come in. A lot of times they just want to see them up close, or they really measure like they supposedly measure. Are you really 6'5"? It said 6'3", or it said 6'7", or are you 6'5"? You see them in person, you get a much truer feel for them. So the big news nationally today, the big event nationally today, Mike Krzyzewski having a press conference on his court at Cameron Indoor. It was a long press conference, about 50-something minutes. But here is what he had to say. We'll bring you. Yeah, I think we can squeeze this in. It's all really good. It's his opening statement. We pick it up a little bit in progress. Here's Mike Krzyzewski speaking to America, because this was carried live on all the networks, speaking to America earlier today about his decision to retire after this coming season.
I just want to tell you, I've been a very lucky guy. I mean, a really lucky guy. When I was 16, I was a junior in high school and at Weber High School in Chicago. And I had a coach, and then I had a teacher, Coach Ostrowski and Father Rogue. And they had such an impact on me that I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be a teacher. And that's what I've been. But I've been that, and I've gotten some incredible, amazing opportunities. The very first opportunity, God was good. God was really good. He gave me my mom and dad. They were really good. What an opportunity. And I've had so many opportunities, more than almost anybody, I think. But that was a great opportunity to grow up in the Krzyzewski family. And even though a mother with 8th grade education, a father with 2 years of high school, they had a belief in education, and they had a belief in me. I didn't know that at that time. I felt it probably every day of my life. And so what presented the first opportunity to go to West Point, I wouldn't have taken it without their belief. I was afraid, and I was afraid when I was there. But their belief was always behind me. There are a lot of people who most of us get a certain number of opportunities. Some of us get more than others. The best opportunities are the opportunities that are backed up with belief. My mom told me when I was in high school at Weber, she said, Michael, whenever she had something important, it was Michael. Michael, always be with good people. And I followed her advice my whole life. And so when I was at West Point, how lucky can you get? I'm at the greatest leadership school in the world, the greatest character building school in the world, and I'm playing for one of the greatest coaches of all time in Bob Knight. Boom, boom, boom. Those aren't punches that knock you out. Those are punches that give you that leadership character, the knowledge of playing for, a brilliant, brilliant coach. How lucky can you get? I can get a lot more lucky. I get to serve in the Army, and after I do my service, and Coach Knight gives me an opportunity to go to Indiana and go to graduate school. I'm there for 1 year. They have one of the greatest teams of all time. I learned there. And then at 28, you think Shire's young. He's 33. I was 28. Although, more handsome, at that time in my life. And in my opinion, Marcel, not in your opinion. All right. And the people at West Point believed in me. I got that opportunity, and as a result, we turned around a 7-44 program into a 73-59 program. And then you get lucky again. Interview for the Duke job, and the guy who had the most belief in me was Tom Butters. He really believed in me. And he believed in me multiple times. And he gave me this opportunity. And after 3 years, Most people wanted that opportunity to go to someone else. I guess that's a nice way of saying they wanted to get rid of me. But not the guy who believed in me. Not the guy who believed in me. My opportunities were followed with belief. The best. The very best. And we started all of this. All of this. And then in the mid-90s, I got extremely sick, physically, emotionally, mentally, and was going to get out of coaching. He believed in me again. But there was another guy who believed in me. His name was Keith Brody. He was my second president, and I've had great presidents. Keith Brody was, in my 41 years here, was the best person I've ever known. And during that time of presidency, he believed in me. He should. We won a couple championships, all that. But he believed in me in one of my darkest hours. For those months of rehabbing and getting better, he believed in me every day. Another opportunity. Wouldn't have taken advantage of it without belief. Strong belief. Throughout the years, it was a little bit easier to believe in me. Championships, and I'm glad a lot of recruits believed in me because they made me a heck of a lot better coach. Some of the great players in the history of college basketball played right here. Played right here. And every day I had an opportunity to be with the best. And I found that relationship I had with the reverse of the relationship I had with Coach Ostrowski and Father Rogue. Now they believed in me. Wow. What a life. I then get an opportunity to coach the United States team. 11 years. Jerry Colangelo, he said, I want you, you're a college coach, and I want you to coach the national team. Yeah. I jumped at it. And in our first competition, we lost. We didn't know what we were doing yet. And Greece beat us in the World Championships in Tokyo in 2006. It's not just about opportunity, man. It's about someone believing in you. 77 games later, 3 Olympic gold medals, 2 world championships. That belief turned into this. And so, for me, the opportunity to coach here at one of the great institutions in the world and be around not good people, but great people has made me, Mickey, my family, so much better. You might ask, why are you doing this right now? Look, this is not about health. Mickey and I, whether we look like she does, whether I look healthy, I am. It's not about COVID or saying, boy, that year was so bad. It's not about that. It's certainly not about what's going on with college basketball, where, boy, the game's changing. All right, I've been in it for 46 years. You mean the game's never changed? You know, in the progression of the game, we have always had to adapt to the changes in culture, the changes in rules, the changes in the world. We're going through one right now. That's not the reason. Those aren't the reasons. Those would be bad reasons, especially the health one. You know, the reason we're doing this is because Mickey and I have decided the journey's going to be over in a year. And we're going to go after it as hard as we possibly can. And then we'll be a part of Duke's continuing journey, like President Price said, for as long as we're around. For as long as we're around. The last thing I will say before answering any questions, if you have any, is the biggest opportunity I've had in my life and the people who have believed in me the most are my ladies, my wife and my 3 daughters have made me so much better. They've been there in those dark days, those dark nights, those celebratory times too. They have always believed in me. Thank you. Thank you. And I want to thank, this is not a day for thanking everybody because it's not over. But today it's a day to thank you all. Yeah, I'm a lucky guy, and we're going to go for it as much as possible, as much as we can this year, and we're going to try to return this place into being what it's supposed to be. And then we'll be able to walk away to another part of what we're doing.
Mike Krzyzewski from earlier today at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Hard to follow that up with any other deeper thoughts, man. That's a 75-year-old man just pouring his heart out about his career and about his life. And, some of his stuff should really ring close to home for a lot of people. Some of the things he talked about, I mean, everybody's gone through things, but I liked what he said about Tom Butters believing in him when they were struggling in his early years at Duke and people wanted him fired. And that's true. You can go back and look at the stories. I mean, he got off to a stumbling start in Durham, and there were people who wanted them to make a change. And his AD believed in him and stuck with him. And that's what it takes. I've said it many, many times. If you, as an AD, believe in the guy that you've hired and believe he has the right makeup, let him fix the problem. Let him work his way through it. And they did that at Duke. And the story there was a great one. They did that at Virginia Tech with Frank Beamer, who got off to a slow start there with the football program. And the AD there was very patient, gave him 5-6 years, something that you would never get today. His son won't get 6 or 7 years to make South Carolina a big-time success. So,
well, and Dabo Swinney, same scenario with Terry Don Phillips. After Dabo's 3rd year, there were Tiger fans ready to run him out of town because he was coming off a losing season. But Clemson felt like they had the right guy. And much like Duke, the rest is history. But that was some powerful stuff from Coach Krzyzewski. And I hope he's right about his health, that it's not the reason he's stepping away. But I find it hard to believe that last season didn't weigh heavily on his thoughts to step away. They were 13-11, really not competitive all that much. Missed the NCAA tournament for the first time in 15 years under Krzyzewski. You have to believe in the back of his mind. I wonder if he's thinking, this is probably a good time to fade off into the sunset and go do something else. I mean, his resume, that's the easiest Hall of Fame ballot winner that you'll ever have. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer in everything he's done. And so he should go out on his own terms, but I'm curious how much this past basketball season really weighed heavily on him.
All right, very quickly, we've got the Memorial Tournament up in Dublin, Ohio. Jack's tournament interrupted by rain today, suspended. A lot of guys still on the course, but Colin Morikawa got in at 6 under 66, has a one-shot lead over Adam Long. Kyle Stanley of Clemson, he's on the course at 1 under. Lucas Glover, an even par 72. William McGirt is even par. He's on the course. Rory McIlroy is +1. Matthew Neesmith +274. Doc Redman a 75. Russell Henley's on the course at +3. Bubba 5 over 77. By the way, Larry Penley will join us tomorrow night for Birdies and Bogeys around South Carolina.
Outstanding.
George Bryan will join us. One last go-around, one last 18 with the retiring Clemson golf coach. He didn't win a national championship for the team, but he did get an individual, Turk Pettit, to win the national championship. Chris, go enjoy the beach, my man.
Thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to it, and you guys have fun with the regionals this weekend, and I'll talk back to you soon.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Weekdays from 7 to 9 on The Point. It's Kev and Brian in the morning. The news, the traffic 4 times an hour, and your daily forecast. Topics to wake you up, topics to make you smile and laugh. Hope you'll join us.
The Point. The